Typical. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Celicia Shine. I'm one of the founding members of Black Blockchain Consultants, and we are here tonight with one of our lovely members who have been a friend of mine for a very long time. We work together in the healthcare industry, so he has, we have this interesting background, and he is here this evening to tell us all about himself and his wonderful project that is on Wefunder right now. So I'd like to introduce you to Daniel. Daniel, how are you this evening?
Great. Welcome everybody. First, I'd like to start by saying thank you to Alicia for carving out the time out of your busy schedule to talk with me tonight. And so
Always.
I'm excited to talk about HCISS, talk about our campaign that we have going on Wefunder. So yeah,
So
let's
tell us
get
a little bit
started.
about you, since the community may or may not know you. So just give us
Yes,
a little bit about your background, and then we can
absolutely.
head on into the campaign, because I'm interested in hearing about it too. So I want to see the progress, because I've heard
Great.
bits and pieces and I'm still waiting anxiously to find out where you are right now.
Yes. So yeah, just a little background about myself. As you say, we've been knowing each other for a minute, for about what, 11 years now.
Yes.
Started out, but I actually started out before then. I used to work for a well-known financial institution, Federal Reserve Bank. And before that, started out worked in telecommunications. And so throughout the whole tenure, about I would say 20 years, I just accumulated a lot of course, degrees and certifications as a data scientist, cybersecurity professional, and currently I am a cybersecurity teacher, and I teach for a couple of organizations, UCC, Urban City Codes, and I also teach for another organization called Code Red, EC Council. And so I am developing for these institutions blockchain courses, cybersecurity courses, as well as analytics, introduction into data scientists, and also teaching a data literacy program, which I think a lot of us really need, and particularly if we're getting into technologies such as blockchain, cryptocurrency, cybersecurity. The key component, as you know, is the data, and becoming data literate is a must in today's world.
Totally agree. That is one of the bigger foundational components. I think a lot of people just instantly go to the tech
Hmm.
side, and then they don't realize that it's really about what you're collecting more so
Exactly.
than what the tech is going to do with it, because that data is really going to tell you what system and what type of technology you need before you even get there to do what you need to
Exactly.
do with it.
Exactly.
So tell us more about your project and how that kind of came out of this
Yes,
transition of being a data scientist and the cybersecurity.
absolutely. So as you know, it's been my passion to start up or own or be an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And you well know this, Teresa. ACISS, it's been in existence for about 11 years, I would say, and particularly with cybersecurity and security. And so just self actualization, really just a turn of events that happen lately over the years. I just decided to say, hey, let's get it started, push to get ACISS going. And with the blockchain technology space that we're specializing in, I really saw the need with my cybersecurity background. Although, as we all know, blockchain in itself is a security technology, but as we know, today's world, basic security, or we like to use the term static security, isn't enough. And so with my data scientist experience and background, basically I just say, hey, it would be great to create sort of on the blockchain space, this ecosystem that kind of combines AI, machine learning, deep learning, uh, analytics into the blockchain space, because as the blockchain technology grows, it's becoming more scalable. We have Web 3.0, we got the metaverse. And
Mhm.
so with HCISS, we have a plethora of our features of this ecosystem that we're building. We call it the blockchain cybersecurity analytics. known as, we call it BSECA. It's a security analytics platform, a cloud platform. That's basically what it is. And we doing a lot of features, such as one feature we're doing now is creating what you call a security interactive agent. It's like sort of like a chatbot, but it's not a chatbot as in surveys or asking questions. This bot we're developing would be more so like an advisor, more so like a, prevention type bot. If your hackers are using, advanced persistent threats, botnets, and et cetera. And I thought, well, hey, why don't you just, we're moving in this AI world in security, you could create a bot that can be this protection mechanism, and particularly on the cryptocurrency side, where you have a lot of mining bots, trading bots being created. And so, you want to protect your cryptocurrency. Would it be great to have a bot that does just that on the cryptocurrency, and as well as for the
Can't beat them at the
blockchain
game,
network?
create your own. That's how I look at it. That's
Exactly.
the best way to do it. And I know that BSECA is also as a service, you're offering that package as a service. So I think that's a really
Exactly.
interesting part about your offering
Hmm.
is that, again, that small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and even enterprise can
Hmm.
actually utilize this. It's not like they have to have this whole behemoth of a system. They can use
Exactly.
this as a service. And what made you actually kind of go in that route? Even I know with the cloud computing and all that, but what made you really kind of set it up as a service?
Right. Particularly for smaller business or mid-sized business, your B2B, they don't have, and for those who wanting to adopt the blockchain technology, some of them are hesitant. Even though you talk about the blockchain technology, you say, well, hey, it's built off this encryption mechanism, they still kind of hesitant, right? Because of the security. And so with that said, and the hesitancy could be some of my colleagues that I talk to, some of them say, hey, they don't have a security team or IT team that really understands security or understands, when I speak of security and cybersecurity, particularly talking about, a framework of how to apply an additional layer or bringing e-governance to the blockchain space. And that's what's missing, and improving it. And so that transpired me to say, hey, create this e-governance type platform as a service. And within this e-governance platform, you get all of the additional services such as forensics investigation as a service, compliance as a service, which is more so I like to say self governance or what you call self-sovereignty on the blockchain, public ledger,
Okay.
because you have these various platforms. And most, Hyperledger, it's a private platform, but you still has this centralization element, right? It's a little hybrid, but for the public ledger, that's what's missing. And so I thought, well, hey, create this as a service. We're improving in the blockchain technology as it relates to scalability. So this would be awesome to create some type of cybersecurity analytics as a service where they can, clients can use this B2B, B2C type of businesses.
I think that part of it is so integral. And I think that's the most important part. I think for adoption purposes, we do need that security. And most people don't want to, like I said, invest in the whole, kit and caboodle of the thing. They really do
Exactly.
need to kind of be stair-stepped into it. And I think as a service, most people are so used to that from the web 2 and cloud,
Yes.
we kind of prime people to understand what those kinds of things are, so they're
Hmm.
much more comfortable in using them, even if they're not overly familiar with the technology. Those concepts of like, you're going to just plug into this is where you go, and this is how your API
Hmm.
is connected to this, and this will give you
Exactly.
all the things that you need, which you
Hmm.
don't have to worry about. And again, I do think with the scalability part of blockchain is one thing, but now
Exactly.
most businesses are scaling back, so they're
Yep.
doing a lot more with less. So
Hmm.
this also gives them that, I think, nice kind of combination of being able to feel secure that they
Hmm.
do have the security that they need, because as we see, every ransomware attack in 2021 has been
Exactly.
bigger and better every single time. And it's not just in
Exactly.
healthcare, it's across it. We had gas, we have all
Exactly.
these things happening. So I do think there's a need for that security. People are really conscientious that they need a more robust system of security.
Exactly.
but they really don't know how to get that and
Mhm.
at a price point that is affordable for them as
For
well.
them.
So I think that's
Exactly.
a great kind of thing for your service to be offered as a service I think that's brilliant on your
Mhm.
part and
Thank
to
you.
kind of put that together. So what made you go to Wefunder and what is your campaign looking to do at this point?
Exactly. But so being that we are startup pre-seed,
Mhm.
pre-revenue, and that's the reason to go to WeFunder, because we figured more people need to know about us to expand our business and hear about who we are and what we do. And so that's precipitated going to WeFunder to raise some capital. On WeFunder, we trying to raise 500,000 to start, $100 minimum to donate
Mhm.
on the campaign. And so in the WeFunder campaign, I think it'll be for like a few months, about 3 to 4 months. I think the end of
Okay.
March or April. And so that's basically what we're doing to try to raise some capital and to build out the platform, right? Which is we trying to get what we called a minimum viable product, an
Mhm.
MVP. And that is just to kind of get out there some of our features, some of our revenue models. We have so many, we're very diverse. We have so many revenue models that this platform can build. It's actually we kind of building an ecosystem, a cybersecurity analytics ecosystem is what we're doing. And we have so many features that would be on this platform. And so just for those investors, potential investors, angel investors who are interested in us, we're trying to get a sort of minimum viable product. To try to give an example, we do in the WeFunder page, we have a link where you can kind of go. It's just a quick draft of the idea of the platform.
Mhm.
But it's just a draft, and it's just to give you a little insights of how it's going to look when it's all said and done. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to raise funding for it so that we can build the MVP and continue the expansion.
Yes. So where do you see this? Where do you see this kind of going in the future for the company as well as, the products and services that you do offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Globally, that's my vision for HCISS to go globally.
Mhm.
Also within the platform, we also have HCISS Academy,
Mm. Okay.
where we are have developing courses. We're going to be teaching, and I I found my calling in teaching, and so and I like to teach. And so HCISS Academy, we're going to be teaching those who would be interested. Once the platform is built, we're going to also teach you and certify you on the platform, to understand what is the BSECA platform. So we're going to be teaching, and what's all involved: cybersecurity, data scientists, quantum computing. We want to be the first, if not, the second, to be the first blockchain quantum computing security network platform we want to be building.
Amazing.
And yeah.
Awesome. So I know a lot of the audience is going to ask that question of, do you plan on, is there an exit strategy to this business, or are you, basically holding it on and doing, and going all the way to an IPO or whatnot? So
Good
where do you see
question.
that?
Yes, going all the way to an IPO.
Mhm.
Yes, I would like to go all
Okay.
the way to an IPO. Um, Exit strategy, yeah, I'm not planning on leaving the organization, but it's sort of hearing Cherie talk about this all the time, and we
Mhm.
all talk about this building generation wealth. In part of ACISS, I'm trying to build the type of executive level of management team of HCISS that looks more like us, diverse,
Mhm.
men and women. And I think that having those diverse minds that will solidify the expansion of HCISS globally.
That's awesome. I think I talk to you about this all the time, and this is one of
Yeah.
those kind of questions with regard to, we are moving into Web3 very
Yep.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for people who aren't familiar with the kind of transition, Web 1 was truly just the digitization of information.
Exactly.
We kind of just took what I call like the phone book and digitized
Mm-hmm.
it. So instead of going to the yellow pages, you just
Yep.
kind of went to yellowpages.com to get the phone number.
Yep.
But there wasn't
Yep.
really a lot of interaction
No, it
with
wasn't.
that.
Yeah.
That you have to start somewhere. I think people forget you got to start
Yeah.
somewhere. And that's where we
Yeah, I
started.
remember those days. Yep.
I know. I
It was
remember.
this, remember the dial up? It was the dial up.
I remember the AOL
It had
disc,
this, yeah, it
right?
had the
Couldn't
AC.
wait to get the disc, and right? It was like, oh, it came, and that, I mean, people were
Yep.
like, what is a floppy disk?
Yeah.
My daughter would probably be like, what in the
Yeah.
world is this? But that was Web 1, and I think
Yeah.
that really set the precedent of digitization.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of moved into Web 2, where we got read and write access. So now
Yep.
you had the bulletin boards and the
Yep.
forums and, you know, my lovely MySpace, where you can
Yeah.
now interact, you know. And I always say, like, MySpace was awesome because it taught
Yeah.
people how to code without
Yep.
making them feel like
Didn't
they
it?
were
Yeah, it
coding,
did.
right?
Yep. It
You
sure
had
did.
HTML, little code snippets. They were
Yeah.
doing that and they didn't even know they were coding.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like,
Coding.
that's the best
The
use case.
tags.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. You were doing it and you didn't
Didn't
know,
you?
and you were happy and you were changing it all the time. I know people
Yep.
had these screens and music on their MySpace
Mm-hmm.
page. That was great. And I think that's, again, that really solidified how we started to use the information. That
Exactly.
digitalization came, but now we could figure out how to maneuver. But I
Mm-hmm.
would say the big part of Web 2 is truly that e-commerce. That
Exactly.
e-commerce really set us up for what we have today. Like, I remember people saying, well, why would I do that? Why would I buy a book when I could go to Barnes and Nobles? Why would I do that when I could just go down to Borders? You know, we
Exactly.
had that mindset at a very
Yep.
critical time where it just doesn't seem possible. It didn't
Yeah.
seem likely or even relevant.
Yep.
And now we're at a stage where you order pretty much every and anything from those platforms. You can't
Exactly.
even get away from it. There are certain things that you have to order that way. And I think this is a really interesting time, and that Web3 now coming into this is giving us all of those kind of perks and privileges, but now that ownership piece. And I think with
Exactly.
that ownership, that's where, you know, cybersecurity is really vital, because how do you protect your ownership?
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with all these array of digital assets, and you want to be sure that nothing happens to them, just like you protect your car and your house. This is the system that is very much needed at this point. You know, we've always needed security in the digital space, but right now I
Exactly.
think it's pivotal that we have that. And I think your product and services really do speak to that. So where do you see your product kind of moving into like the Web3 space? Where do you kind of
Absolutely.
position
Great,
that?
great. Oh yeah, great question. So, with the Web3 space, right, is basically you take the whole blockchain technology ecosystem will be modularized, right?
Mhm.
And with that, and that's what's behind the metaverse, okay, Web 3.0. So that's what's pushing the metaverse. And but then there's autonomous, AR, VR, and so with that said, again, it opens up to these advanced, persistent, dynamic in nature cybersecurity threats. And so as HCISS, we prepare for that because we're utilizing these advanced technologies like AI and security that will be perfect for that. As I was mentioning, some of our features that we're talking about, the
Mhm.
security interactive agent, which is behind it, is using the AI ML that we're building. And so we're prepared, and in our term, our slogan, "We are the future." That is true, because we know this is coming. We're just saying, okay, from a cybersecurity analytics perspective, we're just waiting till everybody catch up to us. Then we're able to implement some of our features, like the quantum computing. Again, a lot don't know this, but the current encryption or classical computer encryption, which the blockchain technology is residing on, is vulnerable, period.
Mhm.
So when quantum computing gets here, now you're opening up a whole nother security issues.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, having and creating a team of those who would be creating these algorithms like quantum safe type of encryption mechanisms that to prepare for what's coming down in Web 3.0, right? And in addition to the metaverse and cybersecurity and et cetera. So yeah, we are prepared, and yeah, and we looking to grow and expand, and we can teach those who would be interested in cybersecurity how to create
Love
their
that
own
education
algorithms.
piece, because I
Yeah,
think it's necessary. It's always going to change. I think, we as tech people, we're always learning. That's like
Exactly.
a mainstay of our job. You cannot just learn something and then think that that's kind of like
Put it
the
on the
new
shelf.
benchmark. It's actually now the lower benchmark, and you kind
Yeah.
of build on it over and over again. It's not
Hmm.
the math, so to speak. It is like fundamentals coming all the
Fundamentals.
way through. Yeah, you're just moving and grooving through it, and I think that's a great way to also encourage people to come, because I do think a lot of people are intimidated
Exactly.
with the aspect of it. And sometimes it is just utilizing a platform, becoming familiar
Exactly.
with it, and becoming a specialist. I think we have a lot of, generalists, and that's, we talk
Hmm.
about that in BBC also. Sometimes it's great to be a generalist, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's real important to be a specialist. So this is
Yep.
gives you that breadth
Agree.
of, you could be wherever you want to be on this, within this ecosystem, because you're creating bits and pieces for them
Hmm.
to kind of work with. And I do really appreciate the thought process that you've kind of created this with
Hmm.
a longevity scope. And I
Yeah.
like that you're moving through that so much, because that's what's needed. I think
Exactly.
you've given a lot of thought to the business aspects and the revenue models, and but also the longevity and where the
Hmm.
tech is moving towards, not just where it is right now. So I do
Exactly.
think it's awesome, and I'm all in on your project.
Oh,
So
thank you. Yeah, one thing you mentioned, education piece is the key, and that's another thing that I am very high on. To say, hey, don't be intimidated by this technology, because you can learn it, because it's all a matter of self-discipline and applying yourself. But the
mhm,
thing is, a little people are hesitant because they go, oh, that's way above my head, and we're like, no, it's not. Like you
right.
said, if you I can easily help you. If you want to stay general, that's fine. But the specialist too. But we can help you transition through that by our education,
Mhm.
because we've learned it. We acquired the education. We acquired the knowledge, the experience as well. And so it's only right to give back, and particularly people that look like us, the black and brown, so that
Great.
they can, if they have that interest and say, hey, I want to get in it, I don't know where to start. No worries.
Mhm.
HCISS, we give you the start. We help you where to start, and that's what we're all about.
That is awesome. And I know the community is really important, because everybody's still coming in and asking. A lot
Exactly.
of people are always saying like, oh, do I need, to be a developer, or
Hmm.
can I just, come in and reskill? And we always like to encourage people that wherever you are, wherever you want to be, we can help you along that
Exactly.
path. So it is important to know, you don't always have to be the programmer.
Hmm. You don't.
Development is one part. Yeah, it's one single part of it. And so we don't discourage you from wanting to do that,
Hmm.
but also we don't want to give you the impression that everybody who comes into this space has to be, very technically
Exactly.
inclined, and it has to be a developer, and you have to have all this language experience. You do
Yep.
not have to do that.
You do not at all. Not at all. And another interesting thing, a lot of people want to get into crypto. And so, with that said, because I teach blockchain forensics investigation. So how to understand, how to read, if you want to get into crypto, you want to learn the crypto, how do you, read these transactions, and so that you're able to investigate and see what's going on with your own transactions if you're getting into the crypto space. And so that's education. You don't have to be a hardcore coder. Nope, you do not. As you just mentioned, if you can get in this field. You can be a consultant. You can be a freelancer, without having to be a hardcore back end coder. You don't. So that's what I love about the technology,
Mhm.
particularly blockchain technology, where you acquiring the skills, as you say, and you think you don't. You're doing a basic code, you're doing some coding, but you don't even realize that you're doing it.
Correct, right. You're
And
just
it's,
doing what you're used to doing. I always
yep,
say, like, if you've used the internet,
yeah,
you can understand certain things. I said this is not just starting from a real small basis. Like I
exactly,
said, when we were not even used to digital, we're all kind of digital natives in the sense that we use
exactly,
technology on a daily basis. And some of that
exactly.
is all that it takes.
Hmm.
If you know how to reprogram your phone, or
Yep,
go to a certain website and look at certain things, you really have the technical skills that are required
exactly.
for certain of these things. It's really just how I always say, like, if you understand business, what we're looking for, and all of those things kind of come together. And that's why a lot of different skills are required for this particular
Exactly.
technology. It's not just, everybody is going to have to know code, because
Exactly.
that's just a portion of it. But we do have to spend a lot more time on that front end, because these are new business models. So do they
Hmm.
make sense? Does
Yep.
this the logic really does make sense, and who wants it? And what does
Hmm.
that front end look like?
Yep.
And how do we market this? And who do we need to come here? So there's all these pieces that I think sometimes get, kind of just on the back end. People are like,
Yep.
oh, I need to code. And I'm like, no.
Nope.
And I want to tell people that you can, if you really, really want to, you can, but it's not a necessity to enter the space. The space is right for everybody. And I think anybody
Absolutely.
who's willing to learn, it's
Absolutely.
a great place to be, because that's where we're heading. And
In
I
that
think we
direction.
need the robustness of the difference. As you mentioned, the
Yep.
diversity, we need different voices to say, hey, wouldn't do it that way. Exactly. I would think about it. You
Exactly.
need that person to kind of be
Yep.
like, why would you do it that way? Because you do get that myopic thought after a while. You're just kind of like, this is how we code because this is how we've always coded it. And now we have to do things much more differently. And I think across the board, that's why all voices and skills are necessary and welcomed, because
Exactly. Exactly. Well, it
it
keeps that diverse, it keeps the ingenuity, and it keeps the innovation. And
does.
that's what, you know, in my mind, as I think in the success of a business, the success of a business is predicated on that, right? If
Mhm.
you're diverse, you will keep the ingenuity and the innovation. And you notice some companies that either they kind of go out of business, or think, and I'm talking bigger companies, is because if you look at the structure at the C level, the executive level, is all one certain demographic and less of the other. And what happens is it stymies the innovation, and it stymies the ingenuity.
Mhm.
So as you just mentioned, you need someone on your team to help you, that think outside the box. You need that at that C level, the whole structure of a business. And I think that's what breeds the success of a business.
It really does. And I think, again, this is just an example of what I always say, like having somebody different in the room.
Yep.
Last year, I participated as a hackathon mentor for a
Yep.
large corporation who set out a global call to help us kind of address COVID-19.
Hmm.
And so we had all these entries and wonderful coders and developers that came to us with regard to, this is what I came up with, this, in a small amount of time. And they were really solid projects. All of them had some amazing code, but, and I always say there was a but.
Yep.
Sometimes you create things with one thing in mind and you really don't know what else it could do. And so I, as the person who was kind of helping them kind of go through their solutions, I was
Hmm.
like, it's great, but this can be weaponized.
Hmm.
After this pandemic is over, your code still is in existence. The code is never going to go away. So now,
Exactly.
once it's in this kind of position, what do we do with it? And this could be
Exactly.
used for nefarious reasons or something ill. And again, some of these people were not from the United States, so they wouldn't understand some of the things that we were kind of
Yeah.
dealing with. So, as the sole Black woman in the room, I'm like, yes, it was great. I
Yep.
felt like a second grade teacher. It
Yeah.
was wonderful, sweetheart. But, and then it was like that dream killer kind of thing. But you do have to have that, because you just create. And then you
Yep.
don't want to, you don't want to stifle,
Yep.
but you do want to be very mindful and cautious about
Exactly.
what you're creating, because you
Hmm.
may even be creating another problem, thinking that you're
Exactly.
solving something, but you're creating another issue coming down the line. So I think that's a really important part for us all to think about. And that's why we do need to have those people like, oh, that might be a little challenging for somebody, or that doesn't work for me, or
Exactly.
whatever it is. I think that's where the conversations and dialogue in this particular realm, because we're in a build phase, and building requires a lot of different inputs. It helps to
Exactly.
have that when you're building, rather than the afterthought after it's built
After.
and you're like, oh, well, we
Yeah.
have to do something else to
Yeah.
kind of to fix that
Exactly.
later. And you want it to be right as much as you can up front, so that we can grow and innovate much more quickly and expeditiously. So I think that's
Exactly.
what we are. So that's why I said BBC is really great for that, because I think we have those kind of conversations of like,
Yes.
well, what do you think?
Yeah.
I
Exactly. That's
like
cool.
that.
And so out of that, HCISS's team, if you look at Wefunder, you look at our diverse, and we have great advisors as well. And we have a team, we are globally, I call him the brains of HCISS. He's out of Kenya. He lives in Africa, Kenya, South Africa. Name is Washington Mugo. He is the guy when last year, actually beginning of last year, actually, and I'd say, hey, I got this idea, and I reached out to him actually through Fiverr, and he had said he built the design, and he said, I got what you want, and he built it. And that's it. He just like took what was in my mind and put it on the piece of paper.
Awesome.
And so I asked him, right? I asked him, I said, well, would you, like to be, part of the organization, managing partner, because you're the guy behind this. You're the guy behind the ecosystem, the BSECA platform. And he was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so he himself, he's a cybersecurity architect. He has UI and UX experience. He's a programmer, all of the above. And then I have another managing partner in Mila Smith. She has been in healthcare for years, 30 years. She knows healthcare inside and out. For interested clients, we do have a traction of a client, Suncoast RHIO, who is interested in they want to partner with us. We're right now in the discovery phases of the customer acquisition process. Basically, he has his idea. He wants to kind of like put the PHR on in NFTs. So I thought, wow, that's interesting. And so we are working with him on that. And then we have another organization partnership. It's Diaspora Care, Jote and Sergey. They're based out of Minnesota. They are into pharmaceuticals. That's what they do. And for the African continent, they have what is constructed called a farm box. And they are interested in partnering with us and wanting to use our platform. They see it a use case maybe as in relation to tracking and tracing counterfeit drugs. And so we're in discussions with them as well. So we have some traction going on with a couple of clients, and then we just wanting to expand this into other areas, not just the healthcare industry, but our ecosystem can service all the industry, automotive, energy, construction. So we have a blockchain developer on our team. We can create smart contracts. I myself can do that as well. And so yeah, we got some traction and going on. Yeah, we got some traction as HCISS. So yeah, we're looking to expand. This is exciting. So year 2022, I'm calling it year 22 will be the year that everybody's going to hear about HCISS.
Well, we're definitely going to keep the word out and get that out for you and help you as much as we can, because we always love to support our members and just rally behind this, because we've been talking about this for so long, and I love it. I love to see this evolution, and that's also a testament that things don't always have to be instantaneous.
And one of the BBC, I have to say this, another BBC members is an advisor to my team, Dr. Keisha. Why else? So I just want to say, so we're in BBC, Cherie, you, Eric, the BBC team, just everybody, members, everybody, you all kind of, that's one of the motivations as well, right? We join meetings every Wednesday and just hearing everybody else's inspiration. And that's what I like to see, everybody that's in this space, and they're creating, becoming entrepreneurs. And so we're trying to change this demographic of this only 1%. I say another thing, I myself want to become an investor. Once I get HCISS expanding and grow, I would become one of those angel investors to give back. Yeah.
That is wonderful. Well, we really appreciate you, and thank you so much for all that you do for our community, and just always being, the person that we always come to and ask questions, and just for just being you. So we do appreciate you. And where can people find, and if they want to contact you, how do they get in contact with you, and what is the Wefunder link for them as well?
Yeah, I have to say, let me pull it up. Actually, if you do HCISS Wefunder, and it should come up. Okay. And I can send you the links as well as the links. I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but we do have a link. We have a YouTube video. I can send that to to you as well to send. And I could also add it up on Discord. I know I haven't been on
Yeah, just
Discord
load it up
lately.
to Discord because that's where
Discord, I
everybody
will
is.
absolutely, yes, I will load it all up on Discord. And then you can reach me as well at daniel.addison@hciss.org, an email address.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Great.
Daniel. We really
Thank you,
appreciate this.
Talisha.
And
Appreciate
we
it. It's been a
will,
pleasure.
it always
Yes.
is. And we will be talking very soon because, you
Yeah.
know, we're right there. We're right at the cusp of 2022. And so we're going to circle back and see what you're doing in Q1.
Oh, absolutely. And
For sure.
HCISS also appreciate so much BBC support. Appreciate you all support. You're backing us, behind us, and definitely we'll pay it forward. It's what we do.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And you
you.
have a good
Yep.
evening.
You too, Alicia. I'm sorry, Talisha. Right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.